You didn't lose your motivation. You lost the illusion that was driving it. And now you're standing in a strange silence, not because something went wrong, but because something real is waking up inside you. If you've been feeling empty, disconnected, or unsure of what you're even doing anymore, this isn't the end of your path. It's the moment your real path begins. You wake up one day and realize the goals that used to drive you don't move you anymore. The ambitions, the checklists, the constant grind, they just feel empty. You might still be going through the motions, showing up at work, keeping up appearances, smiling when expected. But underneath it all, there's a quiet question growing louder. What's the point of any of this? This is not depression, it's not laziness, it's a shift, a breaking open, a dissolving of the identity you spent years building. Jung referred to this outer self as the persona, the mask we wear to fit in, to succeed, to be accepted. When that mask begins to fall away, it can feel like the ground is disappearing beneath your feet. But it's not collapse, it's an invitation. There's a stage that happens after awakening, and almost no one warns you about it. It's not filled with fireworks or sudden enlightenment. It's quiet, it's strange, and it's deeply misunderstood. This is the sacred pause, the time between who you were and who you are becoming. You're not in motion, but you're not stuck either. You're just still. In this space, everything feels unfamiliar. You no longer chase the same dreams. You're not sure what you believe in. Even your own thoughts seem foreign. This isn't a sign that you're lost. It's proof that you're shifting. Jung believed this was a necessary phase. Our modern world hates stillness. It pushes us to always be achieving, always be moving. But the soul doesn't operate on that schedule. Sometimes it asks you to stop, to sit in silence, to let what no longer serves you fall away. And yes, it's uncomfortable. People might ask what's wrong. They may suggest you just get back to normal. But that version of normal is gone. You've outgrown it, and pretending to fit back into it would only shrink you again. This stillness is not a gap, it's a womb. Something new is being formed, and for now, your only job is to allow the space. What most people call a loss of motivation is actually the collapse of your ego's reward system. You used to be motivated by achievement, approval, recognition, or even survival. That fuel is running out because your system is being rewired. This doesn't mean you don't care anymore. It means you're starting to care about different things, things that feel real, things that actually matter to your deeper self. You might feel guilt or shame for not being as productive, but that shame comes from old programming, not truth. Your inner world is shifting gears, and like any engine rebuild, you can't expect to drive while the parts are still being installed. This stage is uncomfortable because it looks like nothing is happening, but under the surface, everything is changing. You're being stripped of what isn't yours, so you can begin living from what is. You're not lazy, you're clearing space. Some people get stuck in this stage. They think awakening means floating above life. They become numb, disconnected. They stop participating, thinking they've transcended the world. But awakening isn't an escape plan, it's an entry point. The goal isn't to disconnect from reality, but to show up more fully in it, with clearer eyes, with an open heart, with a mind that's no longer trapped in survival mode. Spiritual bypassing is when we use spiritual ideas to avoid facing pain, fear, or responsibility. It might sound like wisdom on the surface, but underneath, it's avoidance. And avoidance blocks growth. You weren't meant to rise above your life, you were meant to live it more honestly, more fully, more soulfully. Awakening doesn't remove your responsibilities, it transforms how you relate to them. You stop operating out of fear or ego. You begin responding from presence and truth. This next phase is messy and essential. It's called shadow integration. The shadow is the part of you you've been told not to look at. Your fears, your shame, your anger, the stuff you were taught to hide. But ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It only makes it louder. Jung said that to become whole, we must bring the shadow into the light, not to judge it, not to destroy it, but to understand it, because inside those uncomfortable feelings are lost pieces of your power. The reason your motivation disappeared might not be because you're lazy. It might be because your soul wants you to deal with the truth, your truth. And that includes the parts that never got space to be seen or heard. This work isn't glamorous, you won't get applause for it, but it is sacred, and it's the doorway to wholeness. After all that stillness, something subtle begins to return. Not ambition exactly, something gentler, a quiet pull, a new kind of nudge. You start to notice what feels nourishing, what feels honest. You begin saying no more often, not out of fear, but because it doesn't resonate. You might be drawn to create, to help, to explore, not because you have to, but because your being wants to. This is your deeper self starting to guide the way. Jung called this the emergence of the self, not the ego, not the mask, but the core of you that exists beyond conditioning. It doesn't speak in big statements, it speaks in feelings, in symbols, in dreams. You might not always understand it logically, but it always feels aligned. The symbolic life begins when you start listening differently. You notice patterns, you pay attention to dreams, you trust your gut, you recognize that not everything needs to be logical to be real. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What feels true right now?" You stop chasing certainty and begin leaning into trust, and the more you do, the more life begins to respond in kind. Synchronicities show up. Guidance feels clearer. The universe doesn't shout, but it does echo when you speak honestly. You may not know exactly where you're going, but you stop faking your way through it, and that is freedom. This is the part that often surprises people. You've come through the collapse, you've done the shadow work, and now you're asked to start again, but this time differently. You're no longer building for appearances, you're building for alignment. You may choose a new path or return to something familiar with a completely different energy. Either way, your actions feel rooted now. You're not performing, you're participating. This isn't a reinvention, it's a return. Not to your past, but to your core. The new life you build will feel quieter, more intentional. You'll value peace over praise. You'll say yes because it feels right, not because you feel obligated. Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart." That's where this new life begins, not in your head, but in your heart. So if you've been in that strange, quiet fog, the one where your spark seems gone, you're not broken, you're becoming. The fire you used to burn with wasn't wrong, but it wasn't yours forever. It came from who you were taught to be. Now, a deeper flame is starting to glow, one that doesn't flicker when the world shifts. This isn't the end of your journey, it's the beginning of your real one. Awakening doesn't just wake you up, it shows you how to live differently, from a place that's honest, from a place that's whole. And if you're in the middle of it, take heart. This strange, silent, sacred space is doing more for you than you can see right now. You're not lost, you're just being rebuilt from the inside out. You thought you were falling apart, but you were finally falling into place.